Welcome to this episode of Man on the Run Meals. I'm here today with one of my good friends, Detrik Watson. How you doing?
How's it going today?
Good, good. So, me and D, we did something in December that some of you may think is not a big deal. We fasted. Now, most people when they do a fast, they'll go 16 hours. People do the intermittent fasting, 16 hours of fasting, 8 hours of eating. Some people shorten that window to even maybe 20 hours of fasting and 4 hours of eating. We went a little farther. We didn't eat any food for 5 days straight. Now, you may be thinking, what? How? How did you guys even survive for not eating for 5 days? Now, just a real so you guys get an understanding of fasting and how long a human being can go without eating. The record is 382 days. So 5 days compared to 382 is very minimal, even though it sounds like something that is so far out in left field. But we didn't eat for 5 days straight, and we did it together. Dietrich helped me out. There was a point in time where I was kind of like, oh man, I'm not feeling that good halfway through. And he said, hey, we got to push through. We're doing this together. Yeah, it was a team effort. So I guess we'll start with why did we do this? I think it's the most important part is to get into why did these guys not eat for 5 days? Fasting in general is very beneficial to human health. I'm not going to get deep into the science of it. Basically, when you don't eat for a certain amount of time, number one, about 24 to 48 hours in, your body runs out of sugar, it runs out of the glycogen stores, and then it starts using its own fat. At the same time, when your body gets in that state of emergency, that stress, oh my goodness, there's no food around, it's famine, it optimizes for survival purposes. Fasting has been around for thousands of years, whether people did it for religious reasons, whether people did it for health reasons, whatever reason that was, it's been around for a long time. It's been a way that humanity has come to what we are today. So we felt like taking it back, revisiting those older concepts of health and seeing how we would feel through that process. So let me start asking you some questions. Prior to us beginning this, did you have any trepidation, any thought of, like, oh, wow, or were you relatively ready for this process?
Well, as I had explained to you prior to, I had a really good friend who had fasted for 40 days.
Wow.
So I knew, I was like, if this guy could do 40 days, I can get through 5.
Yeah.
But it was, that third day was trying. I had only gone 2 days. I had gone 48 hours.
Yeah.
And, but I said, I got through the 48 hours, no problem. And once again, in the back of my head, it's like, oh, my buddy Scott did 40 days.
Yeah.
So I can handle this.
Yeah. No, absolutely. That's excellent to have that. Seeing somebody that already accomplished that, just like if anybody out there is like, oh, wow, maybe I could fast for more than 16, 20, 24 hours. We did it for 5 days. So have that be your starting point, your reality point. And then Dietrich just mentioned somebody did it for 40 days that he knows. That just gives you the ability to see that it's something that's very possible. So let's go back and forth with respect to day one. For me, day one, smooth. Part of that is because I've done 48 hours before. So what I did is we didn't just randomly say, hey, we're not going to eat for 5 days. We worked our way up to it, which is the ideal way to do it. You want to start maybe with the 16 days. You feel comfortable doing that? Hey, let's stretch it to 20. Let's go a whole day without eating. Let's go 2 days without eating. And then boom, let's go a little farther. So for me, day one, because of that, very smooth. Yourself?
In the past, the intermittent fasting, the 16 hours on, off, and 8 hours on, I've done for about 2 years, okay, on and off. Sometimes I do it, every day for a week or two. Sometimes I do it for 2 days a week, 1 day a week. And in the past, I'd done religious fasting, with my faith, and I'd done sun up to sundown in the summertime. So, I was going for long stretches, and then at night I wouldn't even be hungry. So sometimes I'd go 24 hours here and there. So
Gotcha.
I wasn't really concerned about that first day either, and that was very smooth.
Good.
Very smooth.
So both of us first day breeze right through based on our prior experience with fasting. Now day 2 came. For me personally, because I did 48 hours before, in my mind I was already prepped for that. For me, day 2 was smooth. Yourself?
Day 2 was rocking and rolling because that was the furthest I had gone.
Yeah.
Just to see if I could do it, because you had done it in the Facebook group and we talked about it. I said I'm gonna try to knock this out, and it was like simple enough.
Yeah,
simple enough.
Okay, so day 2, boom. So day 3 hit. Something happened on day 3. I think part of that is the body transitioning, detoxifying. All that good stuff is happening, but at the same time, it may not lead to the individual that's going through the process with feeling good. For me personally, day 3 hit. I got to work. We both worked or regular jobs through this whole entire experience. We both have kids as well. 2 kids. I have a 2 and a 4-year-old. Detrik's kids are 3 and 6 months. So the family life, the work life, we did this through that process. So it's doable even, without going up on a mountain and meditating and not eating for 5 days. You could do this as an everyday folk. So day 3 hit, and I got to work, and I'm sitting on my desk, and I'm like, man, this doesn't feel good today. It was this smooth, nice flow, and day 3 hit, and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm questioning my decision making here. Yourself?
Well, I guess as you clean out and the longer you're without food, your senses start to heighten. And so the smells, when I walked in and everybody's sitting around and they had a box of donuts and just I could smell the filling in the donuts. This is rough. So I go and I'm drinking black coffee and I'm sitting there watching people eating, Boston cream and all different types of stuffed donuts. And it just got tough. And then that night at home, cooking for my son. And I was sitting there over top of the pot and things were smelling good, and it was a rough one. I just wanted to get everybody in bed so I could go to sleep and try to sleep it off.
Yeah. The best part about the days that are rough is you're just looking forward to going to bed for that day to end. Detrik brought up a point, and from my personal experience, and this sounds mind-boggling, possibly, I did not feel legitimate hunger for the duration of these 5 days. The only hunger came from visual cues. So my body was in this state of, okay, I'm feeding on itself now. The body's feeding on its own fat for fuel. If there's no food around, there was no hunger. But the second smell, visual cues, it hits, and it's difficult. And cooking food for the kids, like Detrik mentioned. So, I mean, I put up a post, I think, on Instagram about my rough day 3. D saw it. He told me, hey, we gotta continue with this. We're in this for. There was a third member of our group. He had stopped midway through day 3. He did about 60 hours, which was very impressive as well. But we made it through day 3. So day 4. My day 4, I already knew ahead of time I had to go train a class, very basic self-defense, and I had to drive an hour and a half back and forth to this training. So ahead of time, I wasn't really into going into day 4 with not eating again. But as I went into it and as the day progressed and I was out there teaching the class, I got into a zone. And I was back, just smooth gliding. My energy was good. I had to move around a lot. So day 4 was back on that nice smooth plane. How about you?
I worked out maybe day 2 and day 4. Okay. And I was surprised at my energy level on day 4, because after how rough day 3 was, I was concerned about the next 2 days. But I had the drink that I made with the apple cider vinegar and the lemon juice and water and everything, and the black coffee, and it really, I was able to shake it off. Whatever it was that was going on day 3, I was able to shake it off. I had an excellent workout on day 4.
Wow.
And the rest of the night, even dinner time, cooking for my son, it was all, it was smooth again.
Good.
It went very well.
So it's amazing how we're both having such a similar experience through this process. So we used a couple tricks: the apple cider vinegar in the morning, lemon water to an extent. You don't want to put too much lemon in there because there's some caloric value to that, and you don't want to negate any aspects of your fasting period by adding any calories. So the black tea, no calories. Water, obviously, no calories. The last couple of days, I actually took a multivitamin to try to see if that'll help me navigate those 2 days better. So the little tricks that are out there, and if you do more research, there's other things you can incorporate to help you through that fast. Add the nutrients that your body really needs to function properly, and not necessarily the food and the calories. Anything else with that for day 4?
No, not really. Like I said, just my energy level was up, and I avoided certain situations so I wouldn't have to, deal with the smells.
Yeah.
And when other people were going to be eating, I took my leave just so I didn't have any, I didn't break. I didn't want to break.
Yeah.
I said I got to do what I can to not break. So, and I think I added some cayenne and a few other things that, all things that kept me in the fasted state that did not break the fast.
Gotcha.
And like I said, I think it filled that void. But like I said, I didn't want to be around anything that was gonna tempt me.
It's understandable.
But that day 4 was probably the best day of the whole fast for me.
Yeah, no, day 4 was really good. So we both get through day 4. Day 5 hits. Huge part for me of day 5 is the actual countdown of knowing that I'm gonna eat eventually. Our fast started on a Sunday at 7 p.m., right? 7 p.m. on Sunday. So Friday, the last day, we were both gonna eat at 7 p.m., which, getting up in the morning and thinking, oh my goodness, 12 more hours, 10 more hours, 8 more, that does something to you mentally. So from my day 5 was relatively okay till about midday. 3, 4 o'clock hit, that countdown took over, and I kind of was just so zoned into the fact that I was going to eat soon. I don't know if that did anything, that mental aspect of it, but by the time 5, 6 hit, 6 o'clock, I laid down on the couch because I was just out of it at that point. By 6:45, I started prepping my food. So day 5 was okay until the last 2 hours where I just really did not feel very well, a combination of the mental and, maybe something physically was going on where my body was like, hey, bro, it's time to eat. But was it anything similar for you, or was it different?
Absolutely. Now, day 5 hits, and I wake up and I know it's going to happen. And I was good in the beginning of the day. And at some point, you texted me and said, read this before you break your fast.
At about 5 o'clock. Yeah. So 2 hours before breaking the fast, I found something compelled me to find some research into the ideal way to break a long-term fast. And I found stuff that troubled me. And part of it I should have done the research way ahead of time of how to break this fast properly. There's ideally specific foods that you want to take in. There's specific portions. You're not just going to go not eat for 5 days. Create a clean palate, cleanse yourself out, and have this nice clean body to re-inoculate with nutrients, with healthy bacteria through fermented foods, whatever path you choose. You want to introduce the right stuff. You don't want to just go eat a random giant meal. You may do more damage than what you started out with when you began to fast. So I sent Detrik this info 2 hours before, and I don't know, you let me know the how that went.
To be completely honest, I had intentions on eating stuff I shouldn't have been eating anyway. I was like, I was seeing commercials. I see Wendy's commercial, and they had this like maple bacon chicken sandwich, and I'm like, and my mouth started watering, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna do it. It's chicken, I was trying to justify, even though it's fried and it's fast food, and then I was like, I'm not gonna do that. But all I could think about was like meat, some type of meat, and something heavy just to fill the void. And then I got that text, and I read it, and I'm like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, I sent all the information too, so
right. I had 2 hours left, and so I had to go shopping. And I went and I got cauliflower rice and bone broth and all these other things. I ended up making a soup, and it was the best thing I ever tasted when I finally broke the fast.
So that first meal, no matter what it is, imagine the most disgusting food on the planet. That first meal after not eating for 5 days is worth not eating for 5 days. So what did I have? I had I had a frozen organic root vegetables in my freezer. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna soften this up. So I boiled them down so they're easily digestible. And I had this small bowl of I believe it's carrots and parsnips and sweet potatoes and one more thing. And I sat on my couch. I took that first bite, and by that third bite, I felt this emotional feeling inside. Like, my wife took video. I would never put it on the internet because you would think that there's something pretty much wrong with me. But I almost shed a tear. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
I have never been a big sauerkraut person, and one of the foods that was suggested was sauerkraut. It's good for the gut, and I fell in love with sauerkraut, and I've been eating it ever since. It was absolutely, like I said, amazing. Yeah. I just couldn't believe that this thrown together soup with, the cauliflower. I just randomly just put it all together. I couldn't believe how great it tasted. Yep. And yes, it was an amazing experience. And all in all, just the whole experience of the fast. There are a lot of things that happen during the fast, just with your mind and thinking clearly and mental clarity. And it was an experience that everyone needs to have.
Yeah.
It'll change you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because of my busy life and there was throughout it, I had significant lack of sleep. My 2-year-old, she does not sleep through the night still to this day. So I really haven't slept for 2 years in a row, a full night. But it's okay. That's life. So I didn't really get to go deeper into that aspect of it, the spiritual aspect. The health, obviously the health benefits are great. It would have been nicer to be able to have that little bit of time to contemplate, have the peace of mind, and get in touch with myself on that level. It didn't happen this time around. Next time, we'll attempt this, which my plan is once a year to do this. Then maybe I'll be able to have that experience a little more. So, results, right? Results. Obviously, something happens when you don't eat for 5 days. You're probably wondering, you guys lost weight, huh? Yes. How many pounds?
I was 15.4 pounds.
15 point. For me, it was 10.5 pounds. As you can see, I don't need to lose weight, right? I actually had to slightly fatten up prior to the fast because I knew I was going to lose a decent amount of weight. I overate a couple days before, got myself up. So I went up to 156, which is around, it's fine for me. I dropped to, what's that, 145 and a half. So that was still reasonable. My body, though, your body is a very, very intelligent system. So I was back up to 5 pounds within 5 days, my body wanted to maintain that equilibrium of a proper weight for my frame. So I was back up to that relatively quickly just based off of normal eating. I'm still, the weight is still little less than that starting point of 156, which is fine. Now I measured my body fat as well. I was low body fat to begin with, around 8% and change, dropped down to 7%. So 1% body fat for somebody this low in body fat is very significant. I did heart rate. The heart rate dropped significantly. And I checked my blood pressure too. And that was normal as well at the end of the fast. So those 4 factors I measured. Other than weight, did you do anything else? Any other changes that you noticed?
I have rosacea, and around my cheeks, they're probably red now. I don't even know if you can see it, but I noticed during the whole time and for a little while after the fast, there was no redness whatsoever, and that spoke volumes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
About
Absolutely,
what
that's
cleaning
huge.
the body out can do.
Yeah,
That was huge.
yeah, no, absolutely. So one last thing. So that first meal after the fast was important. We needed to make sure that, small portion, ideally a soup, some kind of something cooked that's easy for the body to digest. Then again, the sauerkraut, the fermented foods, get that live bacteria in to reinoculate the system, the gut, your gut. I started it doesn't have to, you don't have to eat perfectly clean for extremely long time, maybe 3, 4, 5 days. You really eat well, and then you can start reintroducing those regular foods that you ate before. If somebody has a very poor diet, you're more than welcome to not reintroduce the regular foods that you're eating before. Feel free to start, a new way of going about business in the kitchen and when you go out to eat. But anything else from your perspective regarding the whole experience, and any suggestions or anything else?
Well, you do have to mentally prepare for it. It was like I said, it was easier for me because I had done smaller fasts for, or different types of fasts to as a way of spirituality, along with prayer and things of the such. But if this is strictly for health reasons for you, and you're not going to do meditation or prayer or things like that, there's a certain amount of readiness that you need, and and the practice beforehand. Do 24 hours, or start out with the intermittent 16 hours, do 24, go work your way up to 48, because you don't want to just jump right into it. And I think that's what the other guy from the group did. He jumped right into it, and he was ready to wrap it up,
Yeah, no doubt. So this, again, for both of us, an amazing experience. The other aspect of this that I want you guys to understand is that if you're going to do this, if you do it by yourself, fantastic. If you have that motivation, that's absolutely amazing. Find a friend. Do it with somebody. If you're going to fast, join a fasting group. There's all types of avenues that you can take to have that support system to push, farther and farther and farther. Be safe. If you already have some kind of pre-existing condition, if you're on medication, a doctor needs to monitor that, because not eating for a significant amount of time may cause an individual that's not necessarily healthy some significant issues. So please, if you do have health conditions, if you're on medication, please consult with your physician regarding doing any type of long-term fast. If you're relatively healthy, like we are, you can definitely start taking those steps from intermittent to a little longer to a extended fast. And that's pretty much it. Detrik has been a good friend of mine. We've known each other since middle school. So he actually got me into this health thing, going into the gym back when we were 18, 19 years old. So I thank him for being here today. He's been a great support system for me and for this process. And I thank you for helping me through the 5 days. And it was a really great experience.
I thank you. You helped me too. Like I said, that third day, if it actually helped me by you struggling too. So I knew I wasn't alone. Another back to him saying, have someone to do it with you. I knew I wasn't alone. So I was like, okay, I'm going to motivate him because you motivated me to do the thing in the first place.
Yeah. Good stuff.
We helped each other.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for checking in to this episode of Man on the Run Meals. I hope there was some good information here for everybody. And yeah, if you feel like this is something for you, start out slow and then just go.